All right. Uh, since my demo wasn't very good on Friday, I'm going to try this again and mix you some colors. And I'm going to start with this model and try to talk you through mixing the colors. So I have yellow ochre, raw sienna, alizarin, cadmium red, Grumbacher red, burnt sienna, raw umber, ultramarine blue, and black. The primary colors I'm going to be using are burnt sienna, yellow ochre, blue, with some other colors mixed in. So looking at his face, trying to decipher, generally a general face value is in the middle. He has warm skin tones. So because of that, I'm going to use burnt sienna as my base. This is my starting. I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow ochre into it. And I will dull it down with just a little bit of white. That makes it a little more opaque and a little less intense. I'm going to make enough of a puddle to kind of work with in a variety of ways. So once I have that, that's sort of my base. That seems very intense, but it's going to get modified. If I need to lighten that up in areas like this, I will add more yellow ochre. And yes, some white. I'm not really trying to copy the photograph as far as the coloration. I'm making some adjustments. These colors are much more vibrant than what I see in the photograph. If I want to neutralize it a bit more, I'm going to add a touch of blue. And that just knocks it back a little bit. So there's a good light value. I'm going to take a little bit of that blue and I'm going to knock back that middle value. Again, not much. I just want to take the edge off of it just so it's not quite so bright. And then I'm going to darken. And there's not a lot of dark values here around the eye. Most of it is warm with a sort of a cooler area. So I'm going to take more blue and mix that together to get a range of darks. And then something that's even darker. But again, this might be for the cast shadow under the nose. So I have a range of values now from very dark, a little bit darker, the middle value, and the lighter areas. This light, except for maybe the highlights, is probably as light as I'm going to go. Another important color, and what I see on his face, are some violet tones. So I'm going to go to my alizarin crimson and black and mix those together. And in the case of his skin tone, I'm seeing that as a little bit more blue than red. So again, there's a little bit of a glare on the picture, but I can see it in here. I can see it in areas of this side of the face. So that violet becomes an important color for me. All right. Some other things I can do is I can take some of this burnt sienna, mix it with that violet. Maybe a little more blue. And it creates kind of a grayish color. That again would work nicely on that part of the face. If I want to bring in more lights, I can certainly work in more yellow and a little bit of white, just to make it more opaque. This time I'm using raw sienna. Maybe a little yellow ochre mixed with that. And there are the colors that I'll use to generate his skin tones. I'm going to take these colors that I have mixed and I'm going to begin to place them. I'm going to start with my darker colors. Keeping in mind I can create intermittent colors between two colors. And I'm blocking in. I'm not worried just at this point about features. Starting with my darker colors and working to light. Taken that burnt sienna, added a little bit of my violet to it just to tone it down a little bit. It's important to pay attention to where the light is coming in and how it hits the face. And because of beards, male faces tend to be darker and grayer towards the bottom of the face. Even though this might be starting off quite dark, I can always lighten it if I need to. I'm going to lighten that up. I'm going to lighten this up, coming up to the upper part and warmer part of the face. Okay, as you begin to see, the nose is kind of merged into the planes of the face. There's a little bit of light on this side that I haven't addressed yet. Of course, he has a mustache. I haven't put that in, but you can get the general idea of how the blocking in works. And just as a reminder, I always start darker so I have some room to go when I do need to lighten. All right, so now I've got this base down, and I'm going to start to lighten it up a little bit. Don't want to go too light, but because I've got that darker base, I have some room to go. The light is hitting most intensely here. There's a little bit of light on this side of the face. All right, so I've got the general blocking in. I'm going to take a little more blue, add to this darker burnt sienna, make it even darker. And that's going to be for the hair and shadow. And again, to remember, this is the early stages of this. I'm going to get his eyebrows, again using that same dark. All right, so that's stage 2, the sort of blocking in of those colors. The next is going to be working on the lips and then lightening up and getting some more. So I'm going to do the lip line. That's important before I worry about adding the lips. You notice I'm using a big brush. I'm not getting too finicky at this stage, trying not to. Just keeping it big, broad. At this point. All right, I'm going to put some more paint on my palette, and I'll come back in another minute and finish this by refining this.